really have any action items other than the minutes. I don't have any action
I
items.
think there's a, we have to approve the report, I mean, yeah,
To
approve
accept
the
it?
update.
All right. That's not. We'll bring the meeting to order. If anyone wants to take a seat. This is the Local Coordinating Board for Transportation Disadvantaged Services, and we're meeting today in the Space Coast Room, Building C at the Government Center. We'll start off with introduction of members. We'll start at for members, we'll start at this corner and work our way around.
Dennis Van Orsdal, Brevard County Veteran Services.
Thank you.
Good morning, Carlos Colon, FDOD.
Arlene Nolte, representing the elderly population.
Victoria Anderson, representing ACA.
Good morning, Andrea Young, TPO Chair in City of West Melbourne.
Linda Howard with, a citizen advocate. Am I not on?
You here?
Camille Tate, disabled representative.
No, I'm
Alicia Wilson.
You are not on that side.
Tess. Okay.
Felicia Wilson, disability representative alternate.
Jennifer Cleveland, Citizens Advocate.
Debbie Flynn, Space Coast TPO.
Heather Balser, County Attorney's Office.
All right, thank you. We'll go out to the audience here. We'll start with Sarah.
Sarah Crowell, Senior Transportation Planner, Space Coast TPO.
James Scher, Transit Planner, Space Coast Area Transit.
Kenneth Harley, Space Coast Area Transit Special Project Coordinator.
I know there's other people over there. Thank you. And we'll go over to this side. Terry.
Terry Jordan, Space Coast Area Transit.
Ma'am.
Darlene Golding Mula, citizen at large, nobody actually.
Great. Thank you for coming.
Ron Shepard, Space Coast Area Transit.
Thank you.
Lori Hamilton, volunteers in motion.
Carmen Baez, Space Coast Area Transit.
Lance Parker, Space Coast Area Transit. Go ahead.
Jennifer Sharaf with vocational rehabilitation.
Thank you. You're right behind the podium. I couldn't see you back there. All right, we'll go over to the table in the back. Yvonne.
Yvonne Miles, Space Coast Area Transit.
Thank you.
Izzy Rodriguez, Space Coast Area Transit.
All right, thank you very much. We're all introduced. All right, our first action here is I need an approval and a second to accept the meeting minutes for the February 24th meeting. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Pardon me? We missed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not see it here on my sheet. Will you all join me, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance? Flag is in the corner. What are we doing?
the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag is right here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. All right, now we'll go to the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion? I think I had one by Mr. Wilson. Made the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Second by Camille. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. We've approved the minutes. Reports. We'll turn this over to Terry Jordan.
Good morning, members of the board. We LCB board. We'll now have our reports from the various members of the Space Coast Area Transit staff, starting with the coordinator report by Carmen Baez.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you can see, we've been busy. We've been doing a lot of public outreach. We just went completely blank. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of public outreach. We did the ESF Disability Awareness Week. We also did, we've been working with the precincts like Cocoa PD, Rockledge Sheriffs, doing some training on transit. We actually looking at a lot of fare type of demos to go kind of cashless. So for people to have a lot of different options of paying their fare without money. So we're looking at other venues on how to pay. Some people don't like putting their credit cards on their phones. So we're looking at a lot of demos as in getting a cash card from like a Walgreens or a Dollar General that they can actually purchase, and they'll put it goes directly onto their phone number, which is good because a lot of people, again, don't like putting credit cards on their phones. We did the Hurricane Expo in Vieira with the seniors, and we also did the Helping Hands Festival in Palm Bay. It was in the Harley Davidson. I don't know if, actually Camille Tate was actually there. They had a booth. So we did that just a few Saturdays ago. And that is it.
Thank you for bringing up about the cash card. I was going to ask what happens if we switch over to FedCoin where we no longer have cash or things that we're able to use.
But the good thing about it is the fact that the phone will have like a barcode. So the Dollar Generals, we looked it up. How many locations were there in Brevard?
In the Melbourne area, there were 79 retailers. It uses Incom, the same thing that you use to reload gift cards.
So they could just go to the Dollar General, give them the cash or give them their credit card. They scan the phone and the money will go in there. So they can constantly have money in the fare, and then they don't have to use cash because, again,
we may not have it, but they will have to have some kind of an electronic device.
correct. And then some of them actually, if they don't want to use their phone, they can have the card and it's a digital reader on the bus, so they can just tap their card on it.
Right, for those that may not have a phone. All right, thank you.
Or data. Some people might not have data. They're data limited, so no matter which way you go, they'll still pay their fares, which is a good thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And next will be the performance report card.
Have any questions on that?
Any questions?
I got a question. That gift card, you do it on the, how you do it on the bus?
Well, it's not a gift card, James. It's like a Metro card.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say you don't have your phone, you can still use the card, but if you put it on your phone, you can still use your phone.
Okay.
So you have different options of if you don't have cash or the exact change, you still have an option of buying those cards. Dollar General sells them. I think Family Dollar sells them. Walgreens. CVS had them. There was a lot of locations that has these cards. So you can still get it even if you're not too close to the transit center to buy a bus pass,
Okay.
which is good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, report card time.
This will be all tiers in motion by Lori Hamilton.
All right, we're going to change them. Okay, no problem.
Oh, no, Carmen just did the performance report. When she answers any questions.
Performance report card. All right, thank you.
Good morning. I'm not sure if you have any questions. My report was pretty short. There wasn't a whole lot happening, except I do have some great news that we did find a staff assistant. So currently they're in orientation as we speak. So I'm really happy about that information.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions?
Any questions, please? Questions? No?
Okay.
All right.
Super.
Thank you very much. All right, update.
Hello again. couple of quick updates on things that Space Coast Area Transit has been doing. Carmen actually hit one of our items that we've been looking into is cashless fare option for both of our paratransit and fixed route riders. Other items that we've done recently, we've submitted actually 2 separate grant applications, one to FTA for replacement of some of our 2017 Gillig buses. The buses that are using our fixed route, they're pretty much old and in need of replacement. I'm sorry, 2007, excuse me. And so we're looking to replace those with 8 hybrid electric buses should we receive funding from the FTA and of course our partners at FDOT if they would be supplying the local match in the form of toll revenue credits. So we're hoping those things will happen. Also, we submitted an application to FDOT directly for 5 new paratransit vehicles. So if awarded, actually Carlos spoke about that last time, so we're waiting to see if awarded any of those. So we are hoping that we will see that come, so that information come sometime soon. And the last part for vehicles has been the rehab of 5 paratransit vehicles. So these vehicles have also met useful life or going to be retired, but as a result of the length of time it's taken to order and purchase and get new vehicles in the fleet, we're rehabbing 5 vehicles. So we're expecting for those to be returned to us shortly. The main thing has been the drivetrain, transmission, and things of that nature. But the vehicles also have wraps on them, so they'll look distinctively differently than the existing vehicles in the fleet. Primary promoting Space Coast Area Transit for things like the Drivers Wanted and the token transit, as we just talked about, the cashless fare option. So we're eagerly anticipating those being returned, completely rehab. Other things that we've done a rack and roll program, which is trying to introduce middle and high school students to the services. We're hoping to capture our next generation of future transit riders in advance of them coming out of school. So when they do leave school, they'll know our services that are available to them and can start utilizing them to get to places like work and other recreation activities that they do without having to be additional congestion on our streets, especially with new drivers. Just a quick note, our fixed route ridership for last year-to-date ridership has been up about 5% over year-to-date, but last ridership that we received was 156,000, and this is the highest ridership that we've seen in the last 18 months in providing service. So we're coming back to almost pre-pandemic numbers at this point, and I'm very happy to report that that we're seeing ridership rebounds. Many systems are still 20-25% down, but Space Coast is really only about 10% down as we speak now when compared to pre-pandemic numbers. So we're very happy that's been a part of what we're seeing is the rebound of ridership, riders coming back out and using our system once again, or going to new locations and destinations as we continue to provide the service that they are so much utilizing. That is my report. If there are any questions from the group specifically, I'd be glad to answer.
Any questions for Mr. Jordan?
I don't have any questions, but I live about 3 blocks from Canova Beach, and it has been, as far as I'm concerned, significant how much the ridership has increased. It's really pretty amazing because there were never people waiting to catch the bus, and there are always people waiting to catch the bus now. And so
I'm glad to hear that, especially with the 2 routes serving the Canova Beach Park. Actually, 3 routes. One is at 33. It doesn't run as frequently, but the 2 routes, major routes, Route 30 and Route 26, going beachside back into Melbourne. So thank you very much for noticing and mentioning that. One thing I did forget to mention is in collaboration with Port Canaveral, there have been 2 new shelters built up on George King Boulevard, specifically for transit use. So we're very thankful for our partners at the port. They did it out of their own funding and provided the 2 shelters for our patrons and users in the area. And they're really encouraging transit use up there with also the bicyclists and things of that nature. So we're thankful for that, and just want to mention that as well. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item. Old business. The membership update. Who is taking that?
little slip there. So in last meeting, we discussed the need for the board to have additional members and also for individuals that have been serving on the board, example, Ms. Nolte, to have the opportunity to have a position elevated to actually from alternate to actually sitting member. So we're still working with our TPO team to finalize that, to get word out to individuals that could serve on the board so they can be selected to serve on the board so we can grow the membership. One of the last things that we had to do is to verify that we could use a selection committee, which we did. So once we have some members nominated, the committee will get together along with the chair. I think vice chair also sits on that committee, and then look to install new members for the LCB board.
All right, thank you.
I'm not really sure about that, but the first step is updating TDLCB policies. So I apologize if there was some miscommunication, but basically the TDLCB policies that is on the agenda today, that needs to go through here, as well as also the TPO governing board before we can initiate the nominating committee process, because it was very unclear within the TDLCB policies what the process and who was serving on that nominating. It needed to be cleaned up and fixed in order so that we can make sure that we're actually abiding by our policies and going through the proper process. So
Thank you, Sarah. We do have that here.
I apologize that there was...
I just don't have it in that order, but thank you very much. All right, so we'll just reverse those two. All right, do we want to do the policy now? I have your name on it here, Terry. Are you turning it over to Debbie? Yes. Fine. All right.
Good morning. Debbie Flynn, Space Coast TPO, Transportation Planner. Staff as well as Space Coast Area Transit worked on updating the policy for TDLCB. We established, Space Coast TPO establishes the policies, Space Coast TPO operates through established policies and procedures, which is on our website, and we take responsibility for those. These policies are periodically reviewed by both staff and TPO legal counsel to make sure that the latest legal references are included and reflected the most current rules and regulations. Through reviewing the policy, we noticed that we were not up to date with those rules and regulations per Florida Administrative Code Rule 41-2012 and Section 427.0157 of Florida statute. Yes, that's a mouthful there. We have provided you the update for this policy procedure. A lot of it was semantics and some of it was very confusing, we noticed, for our policy, such as our nominating committee. If you approve this policy today, as Sarah mentioned, it will be going to our TPO governing board for approval, and then we could initiate this new policy and start our nominating committee and applications to be on this board. The update for the nominating committee was to have a representative from Space Coast TPO and Space Coast Area Transit, as well as the chair, to be on the nominating committee to get the application. Space Coast TPO will post this on our website and on our Facebook and social media channels to get people to be on this board and advertise that. We will take those applications, the nominating committee will review those applications and then bring them to you, as well as the TPO governing board.
All right, thank you.
That was the biggest change. Everything else was more cleaning everything up and keeping everything to Florida statute and rule 41-2.012. And if anyone has questions regarding the policy, I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Okay.
I do.
Yes, please.
So we got this on Friday, and then I went out of town and have not been able to read through it. I've gone through it a couple of times, but it's all legal jargon. So, you know, with my visual impairment, it's much more difficult for me to just kind of read through things. I have to use the reader, and then I have to go through multiple times and usually get some assistance. So I have not been able to fully go through it, understand it. I see that there are some, you know, lines drawn through, things like that. So, you know, I can't say that I know what we're voting on, you know, because I haven't had enough time. So I would like to have more time to be able to go through something, especially since this is our guidelines, right, for what we're supposed to be doing, our responsibilities, and
Correct.
I would like to have more time to like look at it. And is it like, I know the state Transportation Disadvantaged Office sets guidelines. Is that see? I don't have the understanding of all of what we're doing here. So right now, so I know the state sets guidelines, and then is this under their guidelines? Is it
Yes.
just, okay?
Yes.
And then
Except the nominating committee, that was not part of their guidelines. They did not mention that as a requirement, but we wanted to have that and have representatives from this board to be on that to review any applications that come in.
okay.
Are you asking to table this to the
I'm
next
asking
meeting?
to table it until, I mean, has everybody had a chance to read through this and fully understands it?
Yes.
Yeah? Everybody has?
Yeah.
Just a moment, Arlene. Hold on. All right, just a second here. Ms. McNulty?
I am not visually impaired, and my mind works pretty good. And I spent a lot of time on this. I think I understand it, but we do not have a sufficient period of time to come to a realization and an informed vote. And I support the suggestion that it be tabled, even if we have to call a special meeting. The bottom line is, this is very important, and it needs to be done right.
Thank you, Ms. McNulty. Do we have the time? Do we have the time allowance to be able to table this to the next meeting? Debbie?
This was planned on going to the July TPO Governing Board meeting, so it would be pushed if we did not bring it to the July meeting.
And what happens if it goes to the following meeting? Does it have to?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right, so basically, we will, if we continue to push the policy to the next meeting, then the old business that was just discussed will continue to be pushed as well. We cannot work on the nominating committee, or rather, it would be silly of us to go ahead and initiate the process of beefing up the membership, looking into filling those spots on an old policy when there's a new policy on the table. So as long as this committee is comfortable with it continuing to have empty spots and a lower membership, then, which might run into quorum issues, then yes, we can continue to push it. I will say that at the heart of it, this is exactly the same policy that is approved every single year. The only real
I'm sorry, what was that last part you
change-
said? I'm sorry.
At the heart of it, this policy is exactly the same as the policy that is approved every single year by this committee.
Okay.
It was just some changes in language to be brought up to date with current Florida statute, as
Okay.
well as also the prior nominating committee description did not define exactly what that was very clearly. And so it was when we were actually sitting down and talking about, let's initiate the nominating committee to beef up the empty vacancies on the board, make sure that we're being it, we were all kind of reading it and weren't really comfortable with it because we didn't feel like it was clear enough and sufficient enough in order for us to initiate it. So basically the only real ramification of us pushing this is we'll continue to have vacancies and not be working towards filling those vacancies.
But that's only until the next round, right? We would just...
So if you would when's your next meeting?
August.
So we would go until August. You'd have time until August to review. And then in September, the TPO governing board could initiate or could go that. At that point, we probably will have timed out some of your seats, just letting that be known. Not really sure how that will play out. Because that was one of our concerns about the timeline, was the fact that I believe there were several seats that will lose, will no longer be ratified into the membership. Sorry, I was not prepared to talk this detail. But so we can push it. We'll have some issues with some vacancies until then. Will be the ramification. However, as I said, at the heart of it, this is the exact same policy that you guys.
So I'm familiar with the old
Here.
policies. I've read through that pretty well. Arlene, what do you think? How do you feel?
I consider this a very important matter.
I
You
can't.
just turned it off.
I consider this a very important matter, and I think it's worthy of consideration that we call a second meeting within the next 3 to 4 weeks, so we can keep under the wire and fulfill the need, but at the same time fulfill that need with knowledge and intelligent thinking.
I can agree with that. I can do that.
All right, so all right, I'll point this question this way. Can we call a special meeting for that one item? I'm asking the attorney.
I would have to, I don't know that off the top of my head. I can look into it and look through the policy,
can't
the
hear
old
her.
policy.
Yes, I think you need,
right
please
now.
put your mic on.
It's on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We can't hear you, all right.
Also, you probably need to make a motion and vote on whether to move it.
Yes,
So if you have a majority, then you can move it. If you don't have a majority, then you can vote today.
All right, so we have two that say that they are not, that refer to table, they're not prepared. Are there any other board members that are not prepared to vote on this item? All right, how many do we need for
a quorum?
Well, I know we have that, but
We
as
have-
far as
oh.
for voting, I guess we would
Oh,
have a
yes.
majority. If we had two that were not prepared, we would. All right, so we're looking for a vote as whether or not to table this and to go forward and table this as it sits. Can I get a motion and a second to table? Once we table, there's no more
Motion to
discussion.
table.
Motion to table.
I second the motion.
I second it. Motion to table, Cleveland, second McNulty. All those in favor of tabling this item, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
All right, so we have two opposed, motion carries. We table the item to the next meeting.
I have a question. Can we call a special meeting? This is so important.
Yeah.
And I understand the time constraints.
Whether or not we can call a special meeting, our reference here is, it needs to be verified as to whether or not we can call a special meeting for this one item.
From what I've read, I mean, I could be wrong because I'm not the expert here for sure. But from
I
what I've
believe
read,
we
we can.
can.
From what I've read, we can. But I don't know.
I believe we can as well. I just am looking for verification
Yeah.
that we can call a special meeting for one item regardless.
I believe that we can hold a special meeting based on my recollection of the current policies. As I said, we've been reading these new ones for some, reviewing them for several months now. But I believe we can call a special meeting. But both Terry and I would feel more comfortable if the motion actually stated to call a special meeting.
We can do that.
Because then it's on public record, we're being completely within the sunshine that we're going to.
Do we want to set a date for that meeting? Let's set a date for that meeting, time certain, so we have a goal to work for.
Do we want to have the county attorney confirm, then we can set a date afterwards, once we have that confirmation. We're pretty confident.
We can, but we won't have a meeting with everyone here. You'll have to contact these by email when that,
If I recall,
the confirmation.
if I recall from the old policy, basically, I believe we have to give you 72 hours notice.
All right.
Don't quote me, but that is just what's tickling in the back of my brain, is that we have to give you 72 hours notice.
All right, then that's,
And if-
we will have confirmation, and then we'll have notice within 72 hours of when the next meeting will be.
And
certainly-
obviously, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Cleveland.
And obviously, if you can give more than that, because I'm visually impaired and I have to arrange transportation and things like that, it would be much better. Just let us know as soon as possible. And I'd like to request also that we get the agenda, sooner than just a little while before the meeting, so that, I work full-time, and, live a life, and I want to make sure I do the right thing and understand what I'm doing here. So I want to have plenty of time you know, to get, to look over everything and fully understand, especially when it's something like that, you know. If we could get it a week in advance, it would be really helpful. Is that possible to do that?
Yep.
So we do apologize to yourself and Camille. I'm getting your agendas probably a little bit later because we had some issues with the compliance factor of it. The agendas were mailed out earlier, but understandably, yours coming in the paper format is not going to be ideal. So we do apologize for the delay in the agenda, but we will be striving to make sure that they're getting out at least a week prior to the actual meeting to everyone in
Thank
future.
you.
May I speak?
Yes, Ms. McNulty.
I have, in the past year, actually called to ask where the agenda is. The notice that we are given to perform as responsible citizens of Brevard is inadequate. I think the suggestion for 1 week prior to, even if it's the electronic copy and I have to print 57 pages, is definitely a better service to the citizens of Brevard.
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes,
Did we
Ms. Howard.
vote?
Yes, yes, we
And the
did.
vote was?
That we're going to table it to the next meeting and with 72 hours notification.
Not 72 hours.
Or more.
She's asking for
Minimum
more.
72 hours, yes. As to when that next meeting would be.
I mean, I knew we voted, but I wasn't quite sure. I thought,
If we're still trying to meet the July deadline of the TPO governing board, then it will probably be 2 to 3 weeks before the second week in July, which I haven't looked at the exact date of what it is, but since we're the second Thursday of the month as the TPO governing board, our agenda package is required to go out the week before. The staff will want additional time to be able to make any kind of changes. Now, if there are major changes, we will have to send it to our lawyer, so then it could get pushed back anyways. But it'll be sometime in June.
All right, thank you.
Is the short answer.
I hope everyone's going to be here, not out on vacation in June, so that we'll all be available to come to the special meeting. Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. McNulty, yes?
I would come.
Okay, thank you. I just said I hope everyone is in town and able to come to the June meeting.
Do we have a proposed date?
We do not have a proposed date at the moment.
Could we get a proposed date so people could block it out on their calendars?
Well, if you block it out on your calendar, it's not proposed. We just know it's going to be in June and we'll have minimum 72 hours notification. Is that correct? Is that everyone else? Sarah, is that the understanding?
That is my understanding, yeah.
All right, yes, Ms. Anderson?
All of us have to be here because I already have a vacation plan.
See, that was my issue. Well, we need a quorum for voting. And our quorum, Ms. Yvonne, is? Well, we have 10 members. We need at least 50% quorum?
6.
Yes.
You need 6 voting members.
Pardon me?
You need 6.
And we need, all right, so we need 50% plus 1? All right. So yes, I think, Ms. Anderson, if you can enjoy your vacation,
Thank
as long as as long as 6 of us, or 50% plus 1 are able to attend. All right? Okay, let's move to the next item. Updated policy, I guess we're not going to do that. The CTC evaluation?
Madam Chair, we can do this.
Okay, I think my agenda is in a different order than yours is. Is yours is as well, Carlos? Yes. I was just following the agenda. I have, maybe yours is, maybe it was revised.
Did you want me, to do this? Does Terry need to speak before me? No. Okay. Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Good morning again. This is the 2022 Community Transportation Coordinator Evaluation. I was pleased to do this evaluation in coordination with Space Coast Area Transit. Their staff was lovely, educated, knowledgeable, was friendly, was willing to give an extra hand with me learning this process. I have to say thank you to Ken. He did an amazing job guiding me through this process. Just want to give a good shout out to Space Coast Area Transit. Next slide. Oh. Okay, I guess I don't have a slide deck, but I'll just give you a briefing of the evaluation. The evaluation is required per Florida Administrative Code 41-2.012 5B of the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. The evaluation is conducted annually by the Designated Official Planning Agency, DOPA, which is Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization. We facilitate the evaluation performance in general and relative to the Commission and local standards as referenced in Rule 41-2.006 of the Florida Administrative Code. The evaluation must also be in compliance with applicable provisions of Chapter 427, Rule 41-2, and 1490. The Brevard County Board of County Commissioners is the designated CTC for Brevard County. Brevard County CTC designation runs from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2026. The review period of this evaluation ran from July 1st, 2021 to June 20th, 2022. The review date for this evaluation was conducted on-site on January 5th, 2023 with Space Coast Area Transit. This included a ride-along in the TD bus with 2 lovely passengers, interviewed transit staff employees, and conducted a vehicle inspection with staff. The evaluation is conducted utilizing the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged CTC evaluation workbook. Every DOPA has to use this same evaluation workbook. A series of 5 evaluation criteria was used to evaluate the performance of the CTC: reliability, service effectiveness, service efficiency, service availability, and safety. The evaluation process consisted of the reviewed coordination contracts, verify the TD drivers met their requirements, survey TD riders, verified TD rider eligibility from those who were surveyed, observed on-site system of TD riders, requested a copy of the driver manifest, completed vehicle inspection with a transit staff member, and provided recommendations and accommodations. In December, I surveyed 21 random TD passengers. The next few survey questions were required to ask them, and I'll be going over those results and those questions. The first one was, how often do you normally use transit? And most of them said 1 to 2 times a week or bi-monthly. We did have some daily and 3 to 5 time users as well. Another question was, have you ever been denied transportation? Nobody's ever been denied transportation. They've always had a bus, a TD bus to use and be picked up. What type of trips do you normally take? The majority was for medical uses, but they've also went for education or training centers or nutrition or employment as well. Did you have any problems on your last trip? The majority of the riders said no. However, there was a few that did say they were picked up late, and due to Brevard County growing with population, there has been more traffic, especially during the peak times, causing the pickup delays, and transit is working on alleviating those issues. The last question was, on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the most satisfied, how do you rate your services? The majority of people said 4 or 5. They were very, very grateful for this service, for that Brevard County offers this. Without this, they don't know how they would get to their medical visits and to the grocery store or whatnot, or get their hair done. They're very, very grateful for this, because if not, they would be homebound. The next is a summary of recommendations. This was in your packet, but I do want to go over a few that was not mentioned because I submitted the packet after I added these 4. One was Space Coast Area Transit must ensure that they are eligible applications and supporting documents for each client. This was a recommendation. Another one was Space Coast Area Transit must ensure that each coordination contractor provide the data for the annual operating report on a quarterly basis. This needs to be done starting with the new state fiscal year of July 2023. And Space Coast Area Transit must provide a strategy to address the client hold time within the next 120 days. Space Coast Area Transit needs to inform clients when the bus is running late as well. And those were our recommendations. Our commendations were that the buses were very clean. The bus driver was dressed appropriately and was very friendly, was happy to be doing their job. The riders are very grateful that Brevard County and Space Coast Area Transit provides this service. Without this service, many of the riders would be homebound and would have no method of transportation to get to their medical appointments or to the grocery store or their hair done, whatever service that they might need. Space Coast Area Transit staff provides excellent support for TD riders completing their required applications. No rider that was surveyed mentioned ever been denied transportation. And as the DOPA, we're requesting approval of the 2022 CTC evaluation. The next steps after your approval today would be going to the July 13th TPO Governing Board meeting agenda as a consent item. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Any questions for Debbie regarding the evaluation? Any comments at all from the board? No? All right.
I do have a comment.
All right. Yes.
Because I wasn't actually able to read the survey except for the bullet points. So I'm not sure if you're using like a PowerPoint to create the survey slides, but they come up as graphics in the PDF document, and I wasn't able to read them. So I do want to thank you for going through the evaluation report, just to let you all know that maybe we can find a way to make those graphics readable by the screen readers.
I will remember that for the 2023 CTC evaluation, definitely.
Thank you very much for bringing that up, Camille. We certainly can't expect people to vote on things if they can't see them to vote on them, so I really appreciate that. I know there is software for ADA compliance for that to be taken care of, correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Any other comments for Debbie? No? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the CTC evaluation? You have a comment, or is that a motion, Mr. Wilson?
Motion.
All right. Motion, Mr. Stringer.
Second.
Second, Ms. Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the evaluation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The-
I do apologize for interrupting again. I believe James is alternate to.
Yes.
I think he's not here.
Rocky.
Rocky.
Ms. Dolce is alternate to Rocky. I believe James is alternate to. Okay. So I don't believe James can actually.
Yes, correctly. If James is the alternate for Felicia, you both can't vote on the same item.
If he's not alternate to Felicia, then he's going to be alternate to Jennifer. Thank you. At least one, I'm sure of that.
All right, so if he's alternate to Jennifer, then
Either way, he will not.
he's not able to vote. Yes, thank you very much for bringing that up, which means he cannot make the motion either. Thank you. All right, so may I have a...
I make a motion that we approve the 2022 CTC evaluation.
All right, motion Howard, second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cleveland. All right, all those in favor of approving the CTC evaluation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you very much, and thank you very much for pointing that out, keeping us straight, Mr. Jordan. Next item, I know that we are a little bit out of order here from what I have and what we're doing, so please forgive me. I'm trying to make sure I get everything on here. I have, all right, the evaluation was an action item, summary recommendations, all right. I believe we've covered everything. I don't recall that we actually discussed the performance report card. I have it here, and I wanted to make a comment on it, but we didn't actually go over it.
So the service plan is the item that was skipped, and that was what I was getting back to, so I apologize, that was out of sequence, but the service plan is on there.
So we're going to do that now? Yes? All right, thank you. Joe, is it Ken? Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Each year, the community transportation coordinator is required to update.
Can you speak into your mic?
Each year, the community.
Is your mic on?
Okay. Yes, it's on now. Each year, the community transportation coordinator is required to update the transportation disadvantaged service plan. Our service plan is the document that we use to guide the operations for the transportation disadvantaged program. Yes. Next one. The transportation disadvantaged program is updated annually, and we are in the process. We've updated the plan. Now we're bringing that as a presentation before the board. The plan must be adopted by the local coordinating board as a requirement under Chapter 41-2. The updates that we have made in the plan are actually insignificant overall. It's just basic house cleaning. We've updated the time frame of the memorandum of agreement between the Community Transportation Coordinator and the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage. We've updated the census data to reflect the most recent data that was available to us. We've updated information relative to the impacts that COVID had upon our transportation system. And another area that we updated was the outreach initiatives that took place from November 2020 until June of 2022. We've also updated the accomplishments that the Community Transportation Coordinator had received from the Florida Public Transportation Association during their last conference. The Space Coast Area Transit was awarded 6 awards during that period, and that was a significant accomplishment under the leadership of our director, Terry Gordon. And I think we had more awards received than any other transit agency in the state of Florida at the FPTA conference last year. Also, we adopted our transportation disadvantage plan. That is a requirement that we do every year. And we instituted the Talk Transit with Terry program. And we're also in the process of finalizing the comprehensive operational analysis, which we'll be looking to implement to make our transit system more efficient, looking at routes that are not performing at their maximum capacities, and looking at what can be done to enhance the service that we provide to all the citizens of Brevard County. Page 65 of the plan, we made some modifications. The Commission for Transportation reassigned the classifications of their trips. Before, there was medical appointments, food, shopping, employment, and other. After that, they categorized all trips as medical, nutrition for food shopping, as well as for going to get food stamps and other things of that nature, employment. They added education, training, and daycare as a category, and life sustaining and others. And medical includes all your doctor appointment, dentist, chiropractors, hospitals, or pharmacies. Nutrition includes trips to receive meals, grocery shopping. Meals on Wheels is not included in that program. And then employment trips include going to job interviews and job-related duties. Education and training mean adult daycares or any persons going to a daycare facility. And life-sustaining, it includes trips like going to banks, social service organizations, visiting nursing homes, and social and recreational activities are included in that category. Also, under the TDSP standards of the plan, It had standards that we would provide 45% medical, 5% nutritional, 20% employment, and 30% others. In the actuality, in 2022, there were 28% were medical, 5% were nutritional, 16% were employment, and 51% were other. So we're proposing that we just stick with the categories that are outlined by the commission for the medical, nutritional, education, training, as well as the life-sustaining categories, and allocate trips under those categories. And one of the things that came out of our CTC evaluation was ensuring that all our clients had eligibility applications on file, and clients are able to qualify for the service under two categories. One is by age, being over the age of 60, and they have to provide documentation to verify that they meet that age limitation. That can be their driver's license, birth certificates, or any other government-issued ID. And also, if they're disabled, they must have a doctor's letter or a letter from the Veterans Association, Disabled Veterans, or some from a certified doctor or other means, or other agencies have certified those clients as being disabled in order to receive the services. We also updated our coordination contractors by adding Promise Inc. And under the standards, one of the things that was mentioned in the CTC evaluation was we needed a standard for complaints. So we're adopting a standard of no more than one complaint per 1,000 trips. We added the TD helpline number in there, and we also added a standard for no-shows, no more than 5 no-shows for every 1,000 trips. And we also updated the trip rate from the previous year, where in last year the trip rate for passenger mile was $1.81. We've updated it to $2.18 a mile. And for wheelchairs, it was $3.11 per mile, and we've updated it to $3.74 per mile. And our requested action is to approve the update to the coordination, to the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan, and that needs to be done by a voice vote of the members of the board.
Thank you very much. It's a roll call vote. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. All right, may I have a motion and a second to accept the, to approve and accept the updated Space Coast Area Transit Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan updated May 15th, 2023?
Can I ask a question before we do that?
Yes.
Were we supposed to get that plan to look over? Did I miss it, or were we supposed to have that?
We were just outlining the changes that were made. We will finalize these changes after the vote is done, and then we can disseminate that information to those who want copies of the document. And it would also be posted online.
Okay.
But we don't have it in our packets. Because
No.
I've been going through my entire packet here, because you're referencing page numbers. Were you as well, Ms. Cleveland?
Yeah, 'cause I'm
referencing
looking
page
for it.
numbers, and I don't have the
So-
document or the page number or anything
Right.
to
So we're supposed to
reference.
vote on it, but we haven't read it? Am I?
This is
What
just
am
an
I missing?
overview. Yes.
It's just an overview? Okay, what am I missing? I'm sorry.
May I make a
Yes,
suggestion?
Ms. Nolte.
Could we add this to our special meeting?
Let's see what their time frame is. How soon do you need this, our motion to accept this, seeing as we don't have it?
This can be done with the special meeting. We're not on a time frame for this one. So it can be
To the special meeting in June, which we don't have a date for, and I believe to table something, we need a date certain. So our regular June meeting, you said, is on the third Thursday? No, today's not Thursday, I'm sorry, it's Monday.
the regular meeting is in August.
But we're trying to do this in June.
I think I can use it because I was talking on the GPS.
Date, when we table something, we really need, like, to the next meeting, or we need a date, we need a date certain.
Trying to determine a date that will work well.
Well, when we had the one item, I know we were trying to give some leeway there to at least have 72 hours notice.
So we propose June 19th as a tentative date for the special.
All right, June 19th June 19th is the date for the special meeting, and it's going to be at the same time, same place?
We'll have to.
10:30?
If the room is available.
If the room is available, otherwise we'll receive notification where we're going to have it, correct?
May I also state that if we need to go to another department in the county for information or legal approval, that this date be stressed so we can adhere to the plan and not delay action any further. I don't want to hear that, oh, we have to change it because this department or that agency did not have time to review it. I believe that was brought up, that there will be some legal reviews required. Is that correct?
So the Space Coast TPO is not a county department, and so we have a separate lawyer. So we hold the TDLCB policy, which is standard like practice, as well as also through Florida law, we are required to. So if there are major changes within the TDLCB policy, then it will have to go to our lawyer. He has reviewed the TDLCB policy changes as it stands now, but if come June 19th, this board decides to make some sort of changes or request clarification, then it will have to go back to our lawyer because he reviews all of our legal documents.
How responsive is that attorney?
He's usually pretty responsive.
Sounds good.
Yeah, if we tell him, hey, we're trying to get this to July because X, Y, and Z, he's pretty good.
He's excellent. He's never failed us, ever once. Yes. All right, so can I get a motion and a second then to table this item as well?
Motion to table.
Motion Cleveland, second. Second Tate. All those in favor of tabling this to the June 19th meeting signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. All right. Okay, let's get back to what I think is the agenda. All right, according to what I have here, we're down to member reports. And I know that we have two members that want to make a comment there at the end. We have Felicia, and then next will be James. So may I have your report, please?
I am here representing Titusville, and we need benches in Titusville. Specifically, we need one at Harrison and Barna, and we need one at Publix on Cheney Highway. Thank you, and God bless you.
James?
I'm James Stringer, and I am for Broward County, but I am for Titusville. I'm with my colleague here. We belong with Kiwanis with the Action Club, and I know some of the bus stops in some of the areas is trash on the ground. No trash cans around. People throw their trash on the ground, and some signs. But I'd like to kind of get a service bracket going, but I want to let this board know I got a group trying to set things up. We're going to go around and clean up, straighten up the signs, and try to put some trash cans. Some of these places need trash cans. And thank you.
For the record, I acknowledge that you did tell us that Mr. Stringer is the alternate, so that would not have been a member report, but he did fill out a speaker card.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think we can still accept his comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to say something, Terry?
I'll actually respond to both. Felicia, do you mind telling me the 2 locations again for the request for bench, Publix at Barn, and what was the other location? Where were you asking to have the benches installed?
I'm asking benches at Walgreens, which is on Harrison and Barna, and on Cheney Highway, which is right there at Publix.
Okay, thank you. I'll respond and say we'll look into the locations. One of the items that we have to make sure is that there is a sidewalk connection, that if a bench is installed, there is ADA compliance. Sarah and I work very closely now. Jim, our new planner, well, Jim the planner, has taken over that role. So we'll look and see if there is the ability to install benches at these locations, because it has to be completely ADA compliant for us to do it properly. So we'll look into that. And James's comment, if you don't mind, when you do see these, if you please let us know where there's trash. We have a company that's responsible for going out and picking up trash and cleaning and maintaining our bus stops, all of our stops throughout the county. So if there's an issue of any particular location, we can look into it, and then we can also see about installing trash cans if there's a high volume of trash potentially. So if you let me know where, we'll have it looked at. And then
I can give you one right now where the Route 6 go through by the Pine. There's a bus stop there with a bench. It is trash on the ground all around.
thank you. We'll have it addressed.
All right, thank you, Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and I can also give you another example here. A couple weeks ago at Titus Landing, there was diapers that was on the ground.
Well, thank you for letting me know that. I mean, we're not out there every day picking up trash, but however, if it's a consistent location where, like James mentioned, heavy buildup and constantly, we would love to know it so we can have our team go out there and address it. But something like diapers on the ground one day, unfortunately, we'll do our best, but I can't say that we'll be out there to get it every time something like that happens, because I know there are trash receptacles at Titus Landing. So there's the ability for people to put it where it belongs. They're just, whatever happened, that it wasn't, so.
Karen, well, what Lisa's saying, what her trying to tell you, the trash can is full, is running over.
That's what I need to know. Thank you very much.
All right, thank
We'll
you.
have
Let's
it addressed.
continue on with our member reports here. Ms. Cleveland?
Yeah, I just had a question because something's come up recently that I haven't heard before with riders, and I've already talked to Carmen and everything about it, but it did happen to me too. So I had someone contact me through Facebook asking for assistance, saying that their son was having difficulty with paratransit, that he would call for an appointment and they would say that they were going to call him back with times, and then they would never call back. And so he would not get his ride and the bus wouldn't show up. And I called in and they did, they said the same thing to me, we'll call you back with times. And they did call me back. So is that something that's going on right now, or what's up with that?
Right now, again, we were really, really shorthanded. So instead of having the person on the phone forever, they'll take their time and they'll call them back either the same day or the next day with their times. Because it was, at one point, we only had, I want to say 3 people picking up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got 2 more guys, so we're staffing up. So surely but surely they're going to start giving them their times right there and then. But we had to train them.
Yeah,
the 2 new
that's
guys.
what I figured was happening, but it was just...
Yeah, it was just training, and then we just didn't want to keep them because we were keeping them on the phone too long.
Mm-hmm.
Take their time, take their information, call them back. And that's what they do, because it slows down in the afternoon, so they're able to call them back in the afternoon or the next day.
And were you able to figure out what was going on with that client that contacted me a couple of times with having the issues?
Mr. Cancer, Draz left him a message, and because we need more information.
I know, I've been trying to get it too.
Yeah, she left him a message, and he's been going on trips, so
Yeah.
we can't do an investigation if we don't have the time.
Right, his mother said she's trying to get him to be more, assertive with everything and to step up and take charge of everything. So I guess that's all we can do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then the other issue that I just wanted to let the board know, because it's like there's still challenges that are being met and everything. 'Cause and Carmen fixed it for me, thank God. But the challenge is that I called in, scheduled a ride to go to work. And it was a class that one of my clients had arranged with all of her residents in her condo on the beach. And they were paying me a lot of money. And so I scheduled the bus, and the bus never came. And then when I called in, I got John, and he said I had no ride scheduled. I don't know who John is. I've never talked to John before. And I said, well, you know, I got to go to work, so I'm going to look unprofessional and unreliable, and this damages my professional reputation. What's your solution? And he had none. And I said, well, let me speak to Carmen. Well, Carmen's not here today. Let me speak to Jazz. She just went to lunch. Let me speak to Terry. I don't know where Terry is. I said, find someone to fix this. And suddenly Carmen appears. Now she's here, you know. And so Carmen got me a ride, got me a bus. I got to work 35 minutes late. Some ladies did leave, and I don't know how that's going to reflect. None of them scheduled with me privately, so I don't know how that's going to reflect on me personally. But usually when I do events like that, I have a lot of bookings after that. So it's just, you know, the importance of this is my livelihood. You know.
What happened that day, which I took care of.
Yep.
We schedule trips for next day, 7 days out. So the reservation is, she called on a Monday, she automatically did the upcoming Monday. The problem with that was she didn't repeat the date. She just gave you all your time. She didn't tell you Monday, blah, you know, the date, which I already took care of that.
Thank you.
So it won't happen again.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Carmen. I appreciate you were able to come back and give the board that immediate feedback. So thank you. Okay, all right, Ms. Tate. All right, Ms. Howard?
Nothing.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson? Ms. McNulty? Yes?
I would like to just ask that we get the agenda on a more timely basis. I think that's pretty much across the board. It was tough getting ready for this meeting, particularly with yesterday being Mother's Day. I do have a question. Is it because of lack of interest, or are we not really trying to expand our volunteers in motion in the North County? I know you guys are doing a great job, but it was mentioned in the report that nothing's much is happening up there. Is it because they're not interested?
We have, and we're talking about Titusville, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that has always been a struggle for us. We really should. In the past, we have had a van up there stationed in that area and have had volunteers utilize the van to help individuals in the Titusville area. The last time that happened was probably maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. We had the van over at the police station, where it could be, you know, when it wasn't in use, it could be, you know, safely looked after. So to be quite honest with you, we get very few calls for the Titusville area. Every now and then we will get some that are kind of like way up past Titusville, and we do what we can. We have helped. There's one individual that we've agreed to take him to Melbourne at least once a month, and it takes us an hour to get from the Cocoa Terminal to where he lives. And then an hour to get him, basically about an hour and a half to get him from where he lives down to the Melbourne area. And then 1 hour for his doctor's appointment, and then 1.5 hours to take him home, and then an hour to get back to the Cocoa Terminal. So we've agreed to once a month, and that works, but we really do need to have a resource in Titusville, because us utilizing volunteers in the Cocoa area, it sometimes doesn't seem like the smartest thing for us to do. We can't it's some, you know, to take a half a day is
understood.
Kind of hard, but we help as needed. So if there's a situation, and there has been situations where there are things that we really need to overlook. Maybe a medical condition, we were taking someone to get treatments, and it was going to be about a month worth of treatments, and we did do that. So it's not that we're completely 0% serving up there, but we're kind of taking it on a case-by-case basis. If there's another means, for instance, Space Coast Area Transit curb to curb, then we're going to ask them to please try and utilize that service since it is up there.
Thank you. I have one last question. We didn't touch upon today Brightline. Are we still, this is on another subject.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Is that still being negotiated, in a location in Cocoa?
Yes, I happen to be on that board, and yes, it is
how wonderful.
still, yes, absolutely, I love that board. It is still being negotiated. We're about to have our meeting coming up. I know that we canceled one, and we have one coming up just next week.
Wednesday.
Yes, this week.
That's great.
I will be
That's
there.
Wonderful.
And we
Thank you.
just received thank you, Carlos, a FDOT intermodal feasibility study grant from the state of Florida. We're just awaiting contracts, and then we'll be able to initiate doing a feasibility study, which is kind of the first step.
Maybe at our next regular meeting, you can give us an update.
Absolutely.
The regular meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a comment about that. I'm hoping that we can bring a train system into this county, because I have to tell you, I'm a frequent traveler, and Greyhound is the only option, and they have now moved from the address on West New Haven, where SCAT was great to put a bus stop in so that people can access the Greyhound bus stop. It is now in Rockledge and Titusville only. So other modes of transit in and out of the county will be most appreciated.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be sure to engage this group as we move through the study.
Thank you. Carlos Colon, do you have a comment?
Yeah.
Thank you. Dennis? Nothing to say. All right. All right. I just wanted to say.
I have one more thing. I forgot.
Oh, yes,
Sorry.
please.
I was looking at our social media, and there's nothing on there about this meeting. And I would like to see, this meeting posted, because it is for the public. It is for the riders. And, to post about the meeting, what the meeting is for, and that it's for the public to come, and also that, we are representatives of the public, so if they need anything to reach out to us and things like that. Like, I would like to see that posted on Instagram and Facebook regularly, especially coming up to the meetings and inviting the public to come to the meeting so that we can hear them personally instead of them just always Facebook messaging me.
Thank you, Ms. Cleveland. Yes. All right. In contrast to the rest of the board, I seem to be the only one that received my packet early. This is the earliest I have ever.
I also received.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for chiming in, Ms. And you got yours early.
Yeah, I got mine in more than enough time.
All right. I'm glad to hear that. So they were not all delayed. Okay. So I did have time to go through it with a highlighter and my little flags for questions and things I had, but still we do need the board to be informed if we're expected to vote on something. So, but I wanted to throw it out there and let Yvonne, let people know that who are working very hard to get us our packets in time, that we did get it. It was successful. Also, I wanted to mention on the Transportation Disadvantage Performance Report Card that we have in our packet, I wanted to comment that your total number of trips are up considerably. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you very much for doing an increased job with, as I heard from Carmen, fewer people answering the phones. So thank you very much for the hard work that you do. It is acknowledged. They're not all complaints. All right. Public comment. We have one member from the public here. Is public comment? Anyone like to say anything? I did not receive any other cards. All right. Thank you. In that case, I'm out of agenda items. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Ms. Tate. All those in favor, get up and we'll leave now. All right. Thank you very much. Our next meeting is June 19th. We don't know exactly where yet, but June 19th.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.